I wasn't even fully into boxing. Like, if you would have asked me a champion, I wouldn't even have known their name. I didn't study boxing when I first started. I was just naturally good at it. And I always just liked basketball more. But it got to the point where I've then already won 2 national tournaments. And I'm like, hey, I'm pretty good at this. I'm just a natural. Let me just put my focus all the way into this and see what happens. And ever since then, I'm where I am now.
Yeah.
All right. So I got with me tonight Antonio Bambam Perez, WBC International lightweight champion. How you doing tonight, Antonio?
I'm doing good, man. I feel great. How are you?
I'm great, man. And I got to tell you, Antonio, I always tell my guests that I don't take it for granted. You know, it's one thing for me to invite you, but the special thing and the more important thing is that you accepted that invitation and made this thing happen here tonight. And I just really want to say thank you, and I appreciate you for that.
Thank you. I appreciate you more for it.
All right. So I know you're the WBC International champ, and we're going to talk about that. But I want to start with where you're from. Where are you from, Antonio?
From Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, born and raised.
Born and raised in Harrisburg. And what was it like coming up in Harrisburg?
Coming up in Harrisburg, there's a lot of people that want to distract you. It's, like I said, a lot of distractions for sure. But the main part about it is just staying focused. And that's all it takes in this sport, is to be focused and determined.
Okay. And now I know you have a twin brother. How many siblings do you have?
I have 5 other siblings. I have a sister, I have a stepbrother, then I have 3 brothers that also box. Unfortunately, one, he's more focused in school right now, so that's his goal. But I have 2 other brothers that are professional boxers, my twin and my younger brother, Montana Perez.
Oh, wow. Okay. So did y'all play around a lot when y'all were younger, fighting?
Definitely played. It was always fighting. It was always competition. Friendly competition, of course, because we're brothers. But it was always, man, it was like, oh, I beat this guy. Oh, I beat this guy better. Oh, I dropped him. Or, like, it was always trying to see who was better. But at the end of the day, it was to make each other better, to make sure we were always on our toes, not let nothing slip.
Right. And so when did you first put the glove on? Like, I know you play fighting and stuff, but you put that glove on and get in that ring. When did that start to happen for you?
I was 11 years old here on Paxton Street in Harrisburg. We walked into the gym for the first time because my little cousin, actually, Juan Perez, was working out there. And I remember after my first day, I'm begging my coach already, when can I spar? I just wanted to get in the ring and fight already, but I had to learn the basics before I could get into the ring and throw punches at someone.
Wow, that's good stuff. Now, is that the only thing you played when you were coming up through high school or middle school? What other sports did you get involved in?
I used to play basketball. I used to play for the school. I went to camps. Every single camp I went to, I think my team was always champion. We always went to the championship and won. Had so many trophies. About my first year and a half of boxing, I wasn't even fully into boxing. Like, if you would have asked me a champion, I wouldn't even have known their name. I didn't study boxing when I first started. I was just naturally good at it. And I always just liked basketball more. But it got to the point where I've then already won 2 national tournaments. And I'm like, hey, I'm pretty good at this. I'm just a natural. Let me just put my focus all the way into this and see what happens. And ever since then, I'm where I am now.
Wow. You know, I had Jacob Lefty Marrero. I had a conversation with him last week. He's actually fighting tomorrow in a fight, and it looks like I hope he does great. I hope he really does. I talked to his camp today. They sold out all his tickets, so he's got some pretty good amount of people that's going to be in the crowd. And I asked him, what was it like his first fight? And I love the way he described it. So I just want to ask you that. What was it like your first fight?
I want to say my first fight, it was definitely one to always remember. Getting ready for that fight, we didn't even have a gym. We were boxing out of other gyms, different locations. So the preparation for it alone just showed my determination. And when it came to fight night, I just was a different animal. And ever since then, I've known that whenever it came to fight night, I was a different breed. Like, sparring didn't matter. That fight, I became a whole different person. I was throwing punches that I never threw before. My power, it just hit me out of nowhere. Like, I was hitting even harder. I hit the kid with maybe like 4 or 5 shots the first 30 seconds and gave him an 8 count. And then I went in and gave him another, and it just like brought the explosiveness out of me. And ever since then, I just knew that it was for me. When it came fight night, I'm always a different person.
Wow. You know, you talked about the different gyms that you bounced around to, and when I have a relative that is into boxing. He's been into boxing for quite some time, even longer than what I've known. And I called him up and I said, "Cuz, I got a conversation coming up with Antonio Perez." And like I say, before I could even get the full last name out, he said, "I know him. I used to fight with him. I used to be in my gym." And I said, "Really?" And he said, "Yeah, man, he's got a twin brother." And he starts, just coming off with all this stuff. And I said, "All right, cuz, maybe you should talk to him. How about I bring you on and you talk to him as well?" So I like to bring him up right now. Wayne Thompson. Wayne, tell us a little bit about yourself. And there he is, your guy, Antonio Perez.
What's up, Tom? Long time no see.
What's up, man?
As far as my background in boxing, I probably started about 2008 or 2009, probably a short time before Antonio did. That was my actual physical start of boxing. But I've been a boxing fan ever since I came up. I grew up watching Muhammad Ali, then after him, Sugar Ray Leonard, and all the way up. And I had always wanted to train, but we didn't have any programs anywhere near where I grew up. And then when I went to college, by the time I went to college, my interest was playing basketball. And I was on scholarship 2 of the years I was there. So there was no thinking about boxing. I went in one gym and realized that my reflexes weren't designed for the game. So for boxing, that is, you had kids there with 13 or 14 years old that could beat me, and I was already 19. So I knew that it wasn't time for me to do it. Later on, they opened up a program here in Harrisburg, and I figured I'd try to start a white collar boxing league up here because I never worked with anybody I didn't think I could whip. And I started to train and realized that time had already passed me by, and my back wouldn't stand up to the training, my back and my knees from basketball. So what I did is I started to help out the kids, and I wanted to became a trainer, just a coach, not so much a trainer yet, but a coach, so that I could help some kids realize that dream. And as Tony said, we had some problems in Harrisburg with gyms being able to afford the brick and mortar to stay open. So we bounced around a little bit. And I think they came in after I had left the first gym. And there had been at least 3 gyms closed before we all coalesced in one spot. And then we started in a little garage. And I think Tony will tell you about the garage later. But the coach, Tony's coach, asked me to come on and be a part of the team. So I've probably known him since he was 12 or 11 years old. I came on to be a part of that team. So, Tony, I'm going to ask you a couple questions here. Let's talk a little bit about your amateur career. You had quite a few bouts as an amateur, culminating with some national tournaments. How many national tournaments did you box in, and what was your highest ranking in those tournaments?
I fought since my first tournament every single year, about 3 to 2 different nationals every year, and every single time I placed within the top 3. My first 2 years I went undefeated, 17-0. Only 17 fights. I remember my first title, actually, I only had 13 fights. I walked up to the kid and I asked him, like, how much fights you got? The kid didn't even know how much fights he had. He said he had well over 150. He then asked me, how much do I have? I said, that was my 12th fight. I said, it's my 12th fight. He goes, you're lying. I'm like, no, I'm not lying. And then after that, every year I placed either second. It was actually only ever second. I placed third one time. After that, every year was either first, second, and third. And then when it came to the rankings at the end of the year, I was first. And I remember one year I came third.
Yeah, and I remember also your brothers were both ranked as well. That must have been great having somebody to work with ranked at that level to get yourself ready for these tournaments. Do you have any standout opponents that you face during these tournaments? Somebody that may be a pro now that you can see later on?
Let me think. It's like a lot of them start to fall off once they turn pro. I haven't been amateur for so long, I forget.
But you knew you wanted to be a pro ever since you were a little guy. Ever since I've known you, I can remember you talked about being a professional. What made you think to go that you were going to be a professional?
Oh man, because I knew I stood out. I knew I was entertainment to the crowd. I knew going to the Olympics was entertainment for me. I wanted to be on the big stage, making money, of course, because that's what a lot of people hope to do in this sport. You know, we don't get punched in our head for nothing. So of course, I just wanted to go out and show my skills, and I knew I always brought a different flavor to the table compared to a whole bunch of other fighters. I wasn't one-dimensional, and I come with a crack, and then I have a good background. I have my brothers with me, so I knew we were designated for the spotlight.
You have 9 fights. You've actually been a pro for 3 years, but the 1 year that I think it was 2022, you only had 1 fight, which is rare for somebody just coming in. How has your preparation and everything changed now that you've become a professional?
Well, now it's definitely a lot more training. Sometimes now I actually have a job, so I wake up at 4 a.m, get my early morning runs in, and then later on at night, and then leading up to the fight at the end, we do late night trainings. That way we get our body, just to get our body prepared to going into the ring so late. So that's one of the biggest things, changing my whole workouts, my eating habits. Before, I really hated losing weight, and I didn't eat so well, and I used to always get in trouble for it. But now as an adult, I'm starting to learn you have to take care of your body and you have to watch what you eat. So now I drink a lot of water, and I try to maintain my weight even on my off season now.
You're boxing now at 135, right?
Yeah, 135.
Okay. Haven't you boxed as heavy as 147?
Yeah, I fought 147. All my fights were 147 except about 2 or 3, and it was only because they couldn't find nobody at 140. I've always wanted to fight 140, but somehow it always ended up being 147. But Then I finally got down.
Which weight are you most comfortable at?
I feel like 135. I feel the best.
You
My
feel
last fight showed it. I had legs. I was able to move around and make this opponent that has 3-4 times more fights than me. I made him look like he was basic. So I feel like at 135, that's where I'm good at. And hopefully, honestly, if I keep training the way I am, I might maybe just go down to 130, depending on how my body feels. But if I stay ranked here, then I want to just stay here for a long time at 135.
I think a lot of people don't know outside that when a boxer is in a training camp, not only is he losing weight, but you get sore and grumpy because you can't eat. And I don't think a lot of people know that. Could you describe what it's like to have to come to 130? Because I know you've been as heavy as 165 or 160.
Yeah. So once it comes down to those last couple weeks where you really cutting back, you don't want to, it's almost therefore like you work out to then eat, and it's like, it's just going up and down. So once you got to actually like step on it, man, you become so grumpy, your body's so tired. You get those days where you just come home so beat, you just lay down, you don't even feel like going upstairs, take a shower, like you just so tired. It ends up being all worth it, but it's hard, and then you just cursing people out. Yeah, start snapping on your girlfriend, your mom, your brothers, your sisters. Any little thing makes you mad. It's the worst.
I don't think a lot of people are until you go to an actual fight camp, you don't know that. As a matter of fact, I often forget it myself because we play around a lot in the gym. And I don't know if you remember the day I punched your brother in the chest when he was cutting weight, and he was so mad at me because I've forgotten how sore you guys get.
Yeah.
Okay, I just got a couple more questions for you. And this is a serious question here. Well, the next one will be, do you have a long-term strategy for your career right now? Right now, you're the WBC International champion. Is that right?
Yeah.
Now, what are you ranked according to Boxing Rec right now?
Box Rec, I think it was like 30 in the world.
Well, another thing that people don't understand is the international title is a title, but it's not a world title.
Yeah.
Do you have your eyes on any specific world title? Or are you plotting a course, or is there a management team that plots this course for you?
Well, right now, since I'm ranked in the WBC as number 27, once I fight for this next fight, my ranking should go up. So hopefully, I don't want to take it too fast, but I'm definitely not taking it too slow to fight for that WBC.
Okay,
for the big title, for the world title.
I used to know all these champions, but I'm a little older now. I used to know a champion of every organization. Who's the WBC lightweight champion right now?
Right now, I think it's Shakur, but all the other belts are all, I think within this next month, there's a whole bunch of people fighting for. I know Gervonta Davis is fighting for, I think the IBF.
Mm-hmm.
Who else? I don't know. All the belts were passed down. Devin Haney had all of them, but he gave them all away. I know as of right now, though, Shakur definitely has the WBC.
So basically, when we're looking at people that possibly you could fight in the next couple of years, we're talking about Tank, Shakur, Devin Haney, Lomachenko, guys like that. If they're around long enough, you could conceivably fight one of them at one point in time.
Yeah, I feel as though, because I really want to stay, like I said, at 135 for about maybe 2-3 more years. And I feel as though I'm young. I know my body can still hold that weight, especially now.
Some of them will be gone in 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, I feel as though some of them will be gone.
Okay.
But if they're not, then hey, 2-3 years, I'll be more than ready.
Okay. Well, last question I have for you. I think this is a most important question. Most people don't really understand that a professional athlete's career is not that long and that it could end at any time. although we're wishing you much success and longevity in your career, there's going to come a time when you're not boxing anymore. Have you decided what your exit strategy will be? And I ask this question because we see fighters over and over again, or even athletes, not just fighters, athletes, they have no game plan for when they get finished with the game.
Yeah.
What are you thinking about?
Well, as of right now, that's one of my biggest things that I'm worried about. Not worried so much because I know my mentality. I'm always going to be good. I'm always going to make sure I get the best of everything in life. And I know I have my family back me up. But yeah, that's been on my mind very heavy lately. I'm looking to hopefully invest into things, hopefully real estate and everything soon. So now that I'm actually making more money in boxing, I'm hoping to actually start looking into more things and not being so hard-headed, young, wasting my money. Now I actually want to invest into things that way because like you said, you never know how long your career can be. If I could go and lose my next fight, you never know what promoter or anybody that's going to want me to fight at that for as much money. So yeah, that's definitely one thing. Not a lot of people know about my religious thing, but I just leave it all in God's hands, and I just pray for the best, of course. And I know through Jesus Christ, I'll forever be okay with anything that comes out. I know my days are already planned through Him, so I'm just going to live through His day.
All right. Now, Antonio, you say you're fighting under Don King. What was that like, getting that phone call? How did that work out? What was that? What did that mean?
And honestly, it was crazy because I had fought some kid named Nelson Rodriguez here in Harrisburg, and maybe 3 weeks before that, he fought on the Don King card. And in my head, I'm thinking, once I beat this kid, I should fight. I should call out the kid that Nelson lost to on Don King's card, because he actually almost lost to Nelson, and I trashed him. Like, it was every single round went to me. So
right.
I was like, maybe that'll get me in the door. But then I told myself as well, I'm like, let me I wait my turn. Let me wait. I'm not going to do that. Let me wait. So I kind of knew in the back of my head that one day I'm going to get that call from Don King, because we have a little bit of pools with people that also work with him. So we kind of knew it was either going to go that way or it was just going to go to another big promoter. But I'm actually happy it went with him. As you see, my second fight already, I'm already ranked in the WBC. I'm not sure if any other promoter would have been able to pull that off. But so far, it's going great, and I'm happy to sign with Don King, and I'm happy to bring my brother along as well.
Wow, that's big. Now, you got a fight coming up in April. As you prepare for that fight, do you work on the strategy? When do you start to implement the strategy for that opponent?
Right away. As soon as we found out, this is actually my first fighter that I'm fighting that is left-handed. So it's a little bit different this time compared to any other time. He's a little more gutty than all the other fighters, but let's just say I've been working real hard for a different strategy this fight. So, and I honestly don't want to go every single round again. I'm willing to take this guy out and call it early. I don't want to box all 10 rounds.
Wow. Now, when you knock a fighter down and he gets up, does that do anything to you? Do you feel like, damn, I hit him with some pretty good shots and he got up? Or does it matter when he gets up? If he gets up late in the count, then it might mean something. But if this guy pops up in 3 or 4, what does that do to you?
Honestly, it flips that switch. Once it flips that switch, it's kill mode after that. Now I'm taking him out for sure.
Wow. And you've done that in 9 of your fights, 5 KOs, which is impressive as a pro. But you had a lot of amateur fights. Now, and that's a lot of fights. You fought over 80 amateur fights, correct?
Yeah, like about almost 80, 86, 87. Probably only about 8 losses.
Wow. Are you surprised, are you surprised you didn't go pro earlier?
I wanted to, like I said, but I'm actually happy I didn't.
Right,
I'm happy I waited. Of course, everybody that was young like that, I was hard headed. I wasn't thinking.
Right. On the game, on fight day, you're gonna fight late. You said you're gonna fight late. What goes through your mind waiting in the dressing room?
I just tell myself it's what you prepare for. No matter win, lose, or draw, I just, I say my last prayer, and then I just focus up and I tell myself I've been working hard for this. No one's going to be able to beat me that night. No matter who they put in the ring, I'm going to be unstoppable. So then I just leave it all in God's hands.
Wow, that's great stuff, man. And before we talked about my conversation with Jacob, who you know, what he told me about the music he listens to when he's training and before the fight. What's your hype music? Who are some of the artists you listen to before a fight?
Honestly, before, when I was younger, probably like some NBA YoungBoy. Like that was some real. Now that I'm a little older, I'm not really into that, so I'll just listen to some new Spanish music, like Bad Bunny, some like songs that you'll hear in a club.
Okay. Now, Bam Bam, let me start to bring it home for you. When you're not training, I mean, I know that's what you're doing now, but when you're not training in between fights and things like that, and maybe on some of your off training days, what do you like to do for yourself? What do you do for Antonio?
I like to clean my room. I like to go out on a date with my girlfriend and play the game. It's the little things that make me happy. I don't care to go out to a club. I go on vacation. My girlfriend's actually from New Jersey, so in the summertime, I usually head up there every weekend to visit her family. So I love spending time with them as well.
Oh wow. Okay. Now, you mentioned earlier about your youth and having to move from gym to gym and stuff like that, and some of the hardships of growing up. What has been your biggest challenge in life so far, and how did you get over it, Bam Bam?
I would say my biggest challenge was that year that, like he said, I only fought once. I was signed with a big company called Eye of the Tiger, based out of Canada. And I was also signed with Cameron Duncan. He passed about maybe 2 months ago. Rest in peace to his soul. But within that time frame, they weren't finding me fights. Cameron Duncan he made me drop Eye of the Tiger as my secondary promotion. So then it was just us working with Cameron Duncan. He wasn't finding us fights. So I would say within that time frame, my career started off great, and then it, like, in the blink of an eye, it went downhill bad. And it's like, okay, I haven't fought. Of course, I'm just in my head like, now. And then he finally released us, but then it was like, okay, who's going to sign us now? Like, there's nobody out there. Luckily, we fought. My coach is a promoter, so he threw about one show here. We have Jason Bryant, who's also a promoter here. He threw a show, and then luckily with those 2 shows, it kind of got me introduced to Don King. So I would say that year off that I only fought one time was probably one of the hardest times, because it was the year that I really felt dedicated and nobody wanted to give me the opportunity.
Wow, that's big. As you spoke that, I thought about the younger ones that are coming into the game, that are coming into boxing, that may not have the direction and the guidance. What would you say to those young fighters that don't have that direction, that don't have that support? What would you say they need to do to possibly get to where you are? What do they need to consistently do, and who do they need to have around them, and how do they choose that?
I would say just keep around the people that really care for you and stay dedicated. I wasn't the most dedicated person alive, but I for sure was dedicated into my craft. And like I said, it was a lot of late nights, a lot of early mornings, a lot of missed parties, a lot of missed everything. Fun, there's no, a week before the fight, there's no going to the park, there's none of that. I would say just a lot of dedication and focusing up, and honestly, probably even looking into having a plan B. I only thought this was a plan A, like there was no plan B. Luckily, my plan A is going good, but at the time, you wouldn't have known. So I would say just keep around family, loved ones, and just stay motivated, honestly.
Wow, that's good stuff, man. That's good stuff. I mean, and it's probably so hard because, like you say, how hard is it to stay motivated when you only got one fight that year? You keep training and training and training. It's easy to kind of fall off track, I would imagine. And throughout it all, Antonio, who's been some of your biggest supporters through it all, through the ups and downs, and through the, like you say, not fighting and getting dropped and wondering who's gonna pick me up? Who's been some of your biggest supporters?
I would say definitely my family and my coach. Definitely my coach. He's been there since day one. He's always on the phone with promoters. He handles everything for us. And luckily through him, he got us signed with Don King, and just having him as a coach is a blessing. And my family as well. No matter what, even on my off time, even within that year that I wasn't fighting, it was like you would have thought no chance, and they're still screaming at me like if I have a fight coming up next month or something. And then, of course, my mother and my loved ones, my girlfriend, just everyone. That year was actually a tough year for me, but luckily I came out strong, and the next year I proved to them that anything that tears you down, don't let it break you down. There's always going to be another year. And I've kind of learned that about life. I never believed in all that. I just always thought everything was good for me because that's all it was until I had that one bad year. But that one bad year turned me into what I am now. And ever since then, I'm not looking back. I'm only going to keep moving forward and keep trying to be the best person I am.
Wow, that's good stuff, man. And it tells me, like, when you won the WBC International Championship, when you got alone and looked in that mirror, what were you thinking? When you looked at the mirror, belt hanging from your shoulder, nobody's around, it's just you.
The number one question that everyone asked me was, how do you feel? And honestly, I didn't feel like nothing. I didn't feel like I was the best in the world at the moment, because that's not my goal. My goal is to be world champ. That's not world champ. That's international. I want more. I'm not satisfied. That's just a milestone. Wow. That's the milestone to get to where I want to be. I will never be satisfied until I get everything I want. And even then, I probably still won't be satisfied. I'm a dream chaser, so this is what I do.
Right.
This is what I'm going to continue to
right.
keep doing.
Right. That's good stuff, man. April 27th, you going down to Miami probably a few days earlier. The morning of, walk me through that day until you get into the ring.
Well, I usually start off with a light breakfast. I kind of basically, I want to say, like, get away from my phone, because, oh man, so many people calling, texting. Just have to block them out. Usually I stay in my hotel room, just relaxing, maybe watch a movie, get as much rest as I can. Like I said, I only eat a light breakfast because I don't like to go into the ring feeling heavy. And that's probably all I'll eat. And I'll just keep on sipping on water and Gatorade, electrolytes. And maybe here and there, maybe like a little snack, but that's about it. And just a lot of rest. Of course, I'm talking to myself in my head like, oh man, like today's the day. You gotta push through it. All this hard work. You got to show them what you're here for. And like they say, every fighter, the biggest person that's going to be on them is yourself. I'm going to be my biggest politic because I know I can do better sometimes. So of course I beat myself up the most, but then I always tell myself I put in the work that I needed to put in. So I'm going to go out there and I'm going to have fun and leave it all in God's hands.
Okay. How did your amateur career prepare you for the professional?
I feel as though fighting at that top level, the determination, also fighting through basically injuries. You're fighting 4 days, 5 days in 1 week, having to make weight every single morning, every single night after fighting. If you're overweight, you got to go run. You got to go hit the sauna. So just the determination alone, if you get through 5 nights of making weight and fighting with a messed up finger, messed up hand, so sore you could barely move. Once you got to that pro level, you only had to make weight 1 day, and then after that you're getting paid and having fun. Because honestly, right now for me, I'm just having fun, and I love what I'm doing. I know a lot of other people doing it because they almost feel like they have to, or this is what they're designated for. But honestly, I just have fun with it ever since day one, and it shows when I'm in the ring. I'm always dancing. I'm always moving. I never look frustrated. I'm always just like ever since day one, my coach always told me, you gotta have fun in there. It's never really been a super one plan. It's always go out there, have fun. And that's what I hope to do every single time till I retire.
How would you describe yourself as a fighter?
I would say tricky. A lot of people say I'm a heavy puncher. A lot of people say I'm fast. I can switch left hand, right hand. I can hit you from any positioning. I can hit you off balance, not in balance. I'm almost, it just clicks to me. I know my foot placement. It's like almost I'm a scientist at boxing.
Were there any professionals you watched that you kind of emulated your style after? I mean, if I could watch only one of your fights to get a flavor for who you are, which fight would that be, and who would you be looking like?
I would say my last 2 fights, I would like to compare myself to Jerron Ennis, Boots Ennis, switch hitter, very tricky, strong, and like I said, he looks like he's always having fun in the ring, and I feel as though I look like I'm always having fun in the ring.
So again, which one of your fights, if I had to watch one, would really tell me who you were as a fighter?
I feel like you have to stay tuned and watch the next fight. That my next fight will show you who I actually really am.
Okay. All right. So what are you what are you thinking about doing in the future? Like, are there any specific titles or opponents that you have your eye on?
Honestly, I'm just waiting for whoever they give me. If they giving me a top name, then of course I'm going to be ready for it. Or just like another step in the bigger direction. Of course, I want all the belts at 135 eventually. I'm not in a rush for it neither, because I'm still young, and I know I have a lot still to learn, and a lot of how should I say this? I have a lot of growing up to do still in this sport, and I feel as though maybe within this next 2-3 years, I'll hopefully be holding all 5 of the belts.
Okay, starting with your last with Tyrone Lucky. Your last 3 opponents were a little more experienced, well, a lot more experienced than you. How did that change your preparation?
Knowing that I'm fighting these older guys, more experienced, it really just brought that dog out of me that I really needed. My first couple pro fights, it was kind of like, all right, yeah, like they're feeding me guys. But now it's more so, now they're throwing me in the dungeon with the lion. So now it's either kill or be killed. So I got to really sit down and dig in, and that's what I did. I changed my whole my ways. I changed my eating habits. I changed my training. I run more miles now. I do more explosive workouts, and I'm just on it all the time now. Now it's really a full-time thing on and off the clock.
Which one of your opponents was the toughest, and why?
I honestly, none of them were too tough. It's like I feel as though I've been tested, but I make the test look so easy. So I really don't think I've really been super tested yet.
It looked like you made a shift in game plans against Haskell Rhodes. For the first 5 rounds, it looked like you were trying to knock him out, and then you realized that when you used your jab, he couldn't do anything about it. Did I see that right?
Yeah, that's definitely true. Yeah, I thought I was going to get him out of there, but he's, like I said, he's more experienced, and it's a 10-round fight. So he kind of paced himself, and once I see he start picking it up, I'm like, oh man, I've never been in a 10-round fight. I've never been with somebody this experienced. So then my coach kind of just told me, like, hey, calm down. Now we're going to do this round. So every round after that, he kind of we went back to boxing. And then in that last round, I just told him, like, I'm going to go all out. And that's when last round I dropped him 2 times. And honestly, I feel as though if I would have just started off with the jab at the start, I think I would have got him out of there. So now I know for next time, I'm not going to make no mistakes. I'm going to do what I got to do. There's not going to be no excuse. I'm going to do what I have to do and take him out early.
You don't normally start out the fight with a whole lot of jabs. I mean, I've watched you enough times to get your style down. It's a more or less head off the line, and then hooks, check hooks, and that type of thing. Matter of fact, I was very impressed that you dusted your jab off for that fight. Are we going to see some more of that?
Yeah, definitely a lot now. Like I said, I needed to grow in the sport, and now that I'm a little bit older, and I'm realizing, like they always said, it's always been the key to everything. The jab is the most important punch. So that is definitely what I've been working on a lot more. And that's definitely going to be the game plan for this next fight as well, using that jab. And I have a perfect jab. Everyone tells me I have a beautiful jab. I don't use it as much. And that's definitely one thing I've been working on a lot more.
Okay. The important question coming up here. Retirement plans, or as we all know that the life of a professional athlete is very short, or in-ring career relative to the amount of time you'll be on this planet. Have you started to consider what you're going to do from the day that you don't box anymore?
This actually has been on my mind a lot lately. Like I said, I'm not only growing up in the boxing world, but as a person as well. So yes, this has been very introducing to me now lately, especially now. I'm dealing with a lot more money than I used to, and paying with taxes, now having to pay back taxes for my fights and everything. So yes, I'm actually hoping and looking into investing my money into smarter and better choices, and not being the dumb young kid I used to be. So hopefully more investing and just having a plan B after boxing, because like you said, you really never know what can happen. You can get a lifetime injury tomorrow from sparring. Not every day is promised, and one small shot can end your career, whether sparring or fighting.
All right, cuz that's pretty much what I have for him right there.
I'm gonna end it on this. So Wayne, that was beautiful. I appreciate that. I want to ask you a question, Wayne, because you got a chance, like you said, you got a chance to watch Antonio, 11, 12, 13 years old, him and his brother, they're coming in, the dedication, the family, going around, other players, other fighters around him, falling off. But you've got a chance to see him grow. You've had that opportunity to see him. What does that look like from then till now, and how does that make you feel?
Well, I'm just glad to be a part of it. If you go and look on my Facebook page, in some of my boxing pictures, you'll actually see me with them when they're with all of his brothers when they were little. So to actually watch somebody that has world championship potential, you see hundreds of kids come through the gyms a year, hundreds of them. I walk around the streets and people say to me, "Hi, coach," and I don't even remember the kid because he was there for a month or maybe a couple months. He may have fallen off because he didn't like the discipline required of it, or something else might have come up. Because we didn't charge a lot, so pretty much you could have came to the gym, but the drive and determination they had. The amazing thing to me was how good they were at first, and I think that was because he had two brothers that were close to his size, and as he alluded to earlier, they scrapped with each other and made each other better. So when you have two or three guys with world-class talent, I knew that they were going to be good. And when we started talking about national tournaments, I actually said to their coach at one time, "Why aren't we sending them to these tournaments? Because they can win." And because one of the other, I was an official at the time, and one of the other officials had said to me, he says, "Why don't you guys send them Perez brothers to these tournaments?" He said, "There's nobody in these tournaments that can beat them." And so when I went back to the gym, I said, "Well, why aren't we sending them?" And after that, they started going to these tournaments, and it's like Tonio said, he was coming in the top three, and his brother was coming in the top three as well, and then even his third brother, Montana. I think Montana was rated as high as 9, was he not?
Five.
Okay.
5 before.
So three brothers from the same family rated in the top 5. You got something there. And this is in the country. This is not just the local tournaments, because they beat everybody up locally.
Yeah, there's no more local fight for us.
Up locally, and there's people now that you see that were on the top ranked roster that don't even want to spar with them. Didn't even want to spar with them when they were 15 or 16 years old. So I knew that they would be in the picture. It remains to be seen if he can keep his focus and go all the way. But I'm behind him, and I'm expecting big things from him. One of the things that they really have that you need to have to do this sport is they have confidence. Not only do they have the speed and some of the other speed and strength, they have confidence, because you can't do this game if you don't believe in yourself.
Wow.
That's pretty much my take on it. But I expect to challenge and be on big TV, and I expect to be telling somebody, I know that I've known that kid since he was 11, and I beat him and his brothers up.
Hey Gus, that's good stuff, man. Hey man, listen, hey Antonio, you gained a new follower, you gained a new supporter, man, and again, I appreciate that. You guys. And Antonio, I'm gonna let you have the last word. Let us know where to follow you, where to get tickets, where to find where it is. You got the last word, brother.
All right, so you can follow me on Instagram at Antonio_P122. You can find me on Facebook at Antonio Perez. For my fight, you can find tickets on, I think, Casino Miami. Yeah, just make sure you tune in. I'm promising a spectacular performance by me when it comes April 27th, and I will still be the WBC International Champion.
Wow, good stuff, man, good stuff. Again, I want to thank you both. Thank you, Wayne, for coming on. Big thank you, Antonio Bambam Perez, taking time out of his training to share some of that with us. And I want to bring you back, man. I definitely want to bring you back, just to keep following your career, because like you said, you're gonna be, you will reach your goal. I can feel it. You will reach your goal. and that is to be the WBC world champ. And that's great stuff, man. All right, man. I appreciate you. Thanks a lot, man. And wishing you all the best, brother. Wishing you all the best.
Thank you. I appreciate it.